Yo guys, so the new seasonal affix in 9.1 is going to be Tormented. Basically, servants of the jailer can be found throughout the dungeon and grants powerful boons when defeated. If a servant is not dealt with, they empower the final boss. The affix is kinda like Awaken It in Nylofa with the obelisk, but the only difference is instead of getting a shroud, you basically just get a Torga's power. And if you don't kill these specific mobs, the last boss will get empowered. So it's basically just Awaken It, but a Torghast version. So the overall strategy is pretty simple. You go inside, you kill the mobs, get the Torghast powers, and you continue with the dungeon as usual. So these are the 4 new mobs you're going to be seeing with the new Tormented Affix. They each come with their own unique abilities, so you have to deal with them accordingly. All of the Torghast mobs have 2 abilities plus a passive ability, which I will explain later. So let's start with this Trash Can guy. This guy basically does one big AoE hit called Massive Smash that everybody needs to dodge. It's pretty simple, just move the fuck out. He also casts Lumbering Might, which makes him deal 200% increased physical damage. The tank can either choose to tank him or just kite him, easy. Here we have the Frost guy called Oros Coldheart. He basically does 2 abilities again. One of the abilities is a frontal cone called the Frost Lance, which you absolutely do not want to stand in, unless you want to fly away. He also does an damage over time effect on you, which is like a circle, so basically don't stand around people and yeah, use a defensive, use Spark Skin, Elder Time, whatever you have. Next up, we have the Fire Mob. He basically just does a circle called Scorching Blast on players. Simply move out and done. He also does a dot on the tank, but it deals like no damage, so it's like whatever. And we have the last guy. This guy is kinda like the mobs in Feet of Pain, the big guys. Like he does one ability called Raise, which is like a heavy hitting dot that you need to use mitigation. Now, when it comes to the actual Torghast powers, it seems that you always get the same powers from the same mobs. Now, the only way Blizzard can ever balance this is by giving all DPS the same buff. So basically, these are the buffs you can choose from if you're DPS. Tanks have their own buffs, and healers also have their own buffs, so it's kind of different for those two. But all DPS have it consistent. Now, if the buffs were random, it would be so imbalanced. It would be the most dog shit ever system. So obviously, you can always count on these buffs being consistent in every dungeon. But remember, killing these mobs is totally optional. You can also choose not to kill them and just fight the empowered boss. Skipping them is actually super easy. They're always on the side, so you basically just move around them and you're done. So these are the passive abilities that's associated with each mob. The passive ability is active whenever you're fighting the mob and also on the last boss if you choose not to kill the actual mob. So let's say you choose not to kill the trash can, you don't want to kill that mob. Then the boss will. Then when you're fighting the last boss, you will take 50% increased physical damage. Now, if you ask me, the buffs aren't actually that bad. The physical one doesn't really matter much. It's only for tanks. The healing one can matter, but it depends how healing intensive the last boss is. And the movement speed is like whatever. Like unless you're wheelchair class, like I don't know, paladin or death knight, then it might be annoying. But if you're mage, you don't really give a fuck. Now, the only Torghast mob that I think is gonna be a must kill is the Incinerator guy, because not only does he leave a nasty AoE damage that's like probably unhealable on higher keys, he also gives really good offensive buff. So why would you skip him? Like he's probably one of the best to kill. And by the way, this is all from PTR, so everything that I just said might change later on. But this is everything that's on the PTR so far, so it seems interesting. Let me know what you guys think of the seasonal ethics. Is it Purgas? Is it dog shit? Is it Kick W? Like, let me know, because I'm actually interested in what people think about this ethics. But yeah, see ya, guys.